And welcome to part 1 of my 6 videos involving the Fall of Cybertron, Combaticons, and Bruticus. I thought I'd go ahead and start off with a shot of all of them in their vehicle modes. I'm going to do them all individually. The way that I'm going to do this is, I'm going to go over their vehicle mode, then I'm going to transform them into limb mode because it's easier to transform them into limb mode while they're in their vehicle modes, and then I'm going to transform them into their robot mode. And I will say, right off the bat, I do really like this set. I am going to criticize it a lot because it does have a lot of problems, but overall, I do really like this set. I'll get that right out of the way. We're going to work from my least favorite figure to my most favorite, and to do that, we're going to start off with my least favorite of the set, which, as you can see, is Fall of Cybertron Onslaught. Now, I will say right off the bat, I'm sure people are going to ask, what do I think of the Hasbro colors? Because people have unleashed epic hate for the Hasbro colors. They just absolutely do not like them. I personally don't mind them that much, to tell you the truth. Certainly, I think that the SDCC colors were better. I think overall the best colors to get, as usual, are the Takara figures. But overall, I really don't mind them too much. I mean, yes, they are bright, they are garish, but I don't know, they kind of work for me. I will agree that Bruticus does look like he's made up of a bunch of fruit colors, but overall, I don't really mind them too much. I do think that they're not that bad. I mean, certainly I would, if I had to pick them based on color alone, I would definitely pick the Takara set over the SDCC or Hasbro releases, but overall, just for being cheap, I think that the Hasbro set isn't that bad. Anyway, getting on to Onslaught as a figure, as you can see, his vehicle mode is just a piece of crap. It looks absolutely horrible. It's not game accurate, not from what I've seen. The in-video game Onslaught is much more of an armored car, whereas this pretty much looks like a Cybertronian flatbed. I think it would actually, if they ever did make a Cybertronian version of Cup, I think this wouldn't be a bad mold to choose, because it actually does look a lot like Cup. If they removed all the combiner bits, I think it would make a pretty decent Cybertronian Cup figure. But anyway, yeah, the vehicle mode is just, it's horrible. I mean, it does try to do a lot of things, and it does them okay. I mean, there are a lot of tabs and a lot of pegs to peg stuff into, so it doesn't look as bad as it probably could have been had they not put so much effort into it. But overall, I really don't like the vehicle mode. I think it's terrible. I know some people are going to say that this gun turret should sit up a little bit more. I cannot for the life of me figure out how to make it sit completely straight. I'm pretty sure that it's an issue with these legs, because it looks like these legs should go up a little bit further and to enable it to sit a little bit more flat. But overall, I really, really do not like the vehicle mode on this guy. I just think it's absolutely horrible. You can, if you want, take this gun off. Like I said, I really don't like this vehicle mode, so I usually just don't leave it on in the first place. But if I would transform into vehicle mode, I would probably always put the gun turret on, because I do think that it looks pretty bad with these exposed arms. Not a whole lot to say about it in terms of other features. It does roll semi-okay. These wheels right here are actually built around a central piece that stays solid. On the actual wheel is a little bit of a ring around that piece, which is kind of neat. I do dig that they did try to get that in without making this whole assembly spin, because that would have been spelled a lot of trouble for the combined mode. But overall, I really, really do not like this vehicle mode. Now, moving on to limb mode, like I said, it's fairly easy. What you want to do is you want to grab the back of this. You want to rotate it down like so until you get a click, and that'll lock his waist into place. Then you want to spin this whole assembly around. Take this cod piece, you want to take it, there's this little ratchet built right down here, and what you want to do is you want to move it up one click, and then there's a separate hinge right here. You want to rotate it up until it pegs into these two holes right here, like so. Peg that in. Then with these arms, what you want to do is you want to lift them up like so. Then you want to rotate this whole assembly down and around. Flip this black piece up until it's flush against this piece. And then this is kind of neat. I do think it was neat how they actually managed to hide the arms. What you want to do is you want to rotate the arm down, and then you want to spin it around. As you can see, there's a peg right here, and that peg will be put in a way so that the hand can grab onto it, so it kind of hides the arms, and it gives him this kind of spiky look in his chest, which I kind of like. Do the same on this side. Rotate that down. Rotate that black piece up. Rotate this around, and then get it to peg in. And then rotate his head around. Then with the gun, on the back there's some pegs and some tabs. There's some holes in the back of the gun, and you can tab it onto the back of Bruticus, and he has his classic cannons over his head, which is kind of neat. At first I was a little bit worried that this head crest was a little bit too tall. It is a little bit a little long, but it doesn't really look that bad in person. Now on pictures it looked a lot bigger than it ended up being in person, but oh well, it still looks pretty nice. I do really like the look of the torso mode. It definitely makes up for the vehicle mode. And then to get to robot mode, it's fairly simple. You want to go ahead and take the gun piece off, like so. Go ahead and flip this piece all the way up. This will form his head. Rotate this whole assembly. Actually, you want to go ahead and unpeg the arms. Unpeg the arms, and then rotate this whole assembly around. Then with his feet, what you want to do is you want to take these pieces and you want to bend them off to the side. That'll untab them from these little pegs right here. And you want to continue rotating it around until you tab it in. Do the same on this side. Untab this piece, rotate it around, tab it back in. Then with this cod piece, what you want to do is you want to take it back and then just take the ratchet and bring it up all the way, and then just kind of maneuver it so it rests up against his butt. There's really no other way to put it. It rests up against his butt. It's a little bit less solid than I would like. It definitely doesn't stay in as well as you could, I think, but oh well. Then you want to rotate the arms around. Continue rotating the shoulders down. And then go ahead and tab these pieces in. These pieces don't lock into place, but they generally do. They generally do stay in place just because of the strength of these pegs. So that is good. I wish that they had found a better way to lock these in place, but no. What are you gonna do? And then you can give him his gun. And there you have Onslaught in his robot mode. And overall, he looks pretty good. Like I said, a lot of people are complaining about the colors. I personally don't think they look too bad. It is kind of ironic because people were complaining about the colors not being game accurate, when in fact, this guy was far more game accurate than the original SDCC release. The SDCC release was done in a charcoal gray and black. This guy's done in the colors of blue and green, which is closer to what he was in the video game. In the video game, he was blue in this kind of bronzish yellow that the Takara version ultimately did do on him. But, oh well, it looks a lot more game accurate, which is kind of ironic considering none of the other figures do. But anyway, a fairly neat looking little robot. I do really like the head sculpt. That definitely is an Onslaught face, which I think is cool. There's not a whole lot of posability because he does have to sacrifice a lot of his joints in order for the torso mode to work. His head does rotate left and right. It is on a ball joint, so it can look up and down a little bit, but not much. It's mostly just designed to go left and right, and it is a little bit limited because of the because of the collar piece around him. So his head's not all that useful, but you still can't rotate it left and right. His shoulders do rotate, like I showed. He does have a joint right here. It's a ball joint, so it allows his elbow to swivel, and it can also go out on like this. I usually don't use it like that, but you can if you want to. He also does have ratcheted elbows. I should point out that the ratchets are made of a fairly soft plastic, so it does seem like they could eventually wear out over time. Although, like I said, I usually just keep this guy in the combine mode anyway, so it doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but that is something to be wary of. He does kind of have a waist joint. If you flip down the back piece, you can rotate his waist. Unfortunately, it's done at an angle, so it looks kind of awkward when you position it, but it is there if you want it. A lot of people were complaining about the fact that the legs don't move forward. They actually do, but they're on very stiff ratchets, probably again for the combine mode. And unfortunately, the ratchet teeth are pretty far between each other, so you can only put him in certain positions. You can't put him in a lot of like medium positions. You can only put his leg out like this, but you can't put it out like in the middle of that, so he does always have to stand at these kind of weird angles, which is a bit of a shame. They also do go in and out, although like I said, the ratchet teeth are pretty big, so there's not a whole lot of mediation you can get between the spaces, which again is a bit of a shame. He does rotate at the upper thigh, which is nice. He does have a knee joint, but because his feet are sculpted at an angle, there's really not a whole lot of use you can get out of him. You do have to keep him in a flat-footed stance. So they are there, but they're really not that useful. So for a quick size comparison, I'm going to save the comparisons with the other members of the team up until the last video. Here he is next to Bumblebee. And you can see that he actually is a little bit taller than the average Deluxe, which recently for Transformers has been unheard of, especially for the Deluxe size, and they definitely have downsized them. But for these guys, they actually did go back and make them a little bit bigger, which I think is really nice. I do think that the Combaticon should be bigger than the average Deluxe sizes that we've been getting these days. So yeah, like I said, I mean, I think that you're probably, if you buy one Combaticon, you're going to have to buy them all because you want to do the Bruticus figure, but overall, if you are collecting for the individual robots, I definitely think that this is the weakest figure. Still, you have to pick it up because you want to combine Bruticus, but overall, I do think that this is the weakest figure of the lot. So yeah, there you go. I look at Transformers Fall of Cybertron, Combaticon Onslaught. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and stay tuned for part 2 of my Combaticon series.